want to be on the field. I don't want to be on the sidelines. I don't want to be in the stands. I want to be in the action. Wednesday, but you leave Wednesday night. I said, okay. So you're going to give me 48 hours to figure out all the other 4 events I never done. Great. Because a lot of kids that are young don't understand the difference between being hurt, being injured, sore, and what general pain is. I just love my kids so much.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no,
That's so sweet. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mental Edge by Conscious Athlete by Grit. I'm your host, Jade Jones. You already know me. And I'm here with Kiara Russell today.
Hi, everyone.
We're laughing because Kiara's my cousin, and we've known each other all our lives.
Literally our whole life.
She knew me when I kicked myself out the womb.
Oh. I was there, actually. I was at the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of history.
Okay, don't do air quotes because there's no quotes. It's actual history.
Yeah, we have a lot of history. We've been through a lot together.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to have her on our podcast today.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk.
Have you ever been on a podcast?
No.
So we're just going to go ahead and dive right in. Kiara is an athletic trainer, and she has her master's. What is it in? Is it in
athletic training?
Okay, it's in athletic training.
Yep.
How many people do you know have a master's in athletic training? I don't know.
Well, now they changed the standard, so everyone has to have one.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So at my school, I was like one of the first, maybe like the second cohort to actually like get my master's degree. Because before you had to have a bachelor's. So I have a bachelor's in exercise science and then my master's in athletic training.
Wow. That's 8 years of school, right?
I actually did it early.
Oh, really?
So I did my undergrad in 3 years and my master's in 2. So I only went to school for 5 years.
Oh, wow. I guess it has been. It was 5 years. That's crazy. Well, Kiara, we're going to let you give a little background more about your athletic training in your life.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Sierra Vista. I went to the local high school here. I actually started my journey in athletic training my sophomore year in high school. And I did junior, senior year. And then I went to college and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I was at a football game. I saw this kid, he go down, and long story short, he had a really bad concussion. And I was like, damn. I want to be on the field. I don't want to be on the sidelines. I don't want to be in the stands. I want to be in the action. Mm-hmm. So then I changed, and then I was a little late to the game, so I had to have a lot of extra classes in one semester in order to get into the program on time. Or I had to take chemistry, and I was not about to do that. So here I am today, working at a high school.
Wait, so because didn't you take like sportsmen in high school though, too?
I did. I took 1, 2, and 3. It didn't count towards anything.
Oh.
But I was able to do like an internship, so I did a lot of hands-on stuff my senior year. A lot of like sideline stuff and things like that.
Okay, gotcha. And so you went to college at
Aurora University in Illinois.
And that was probably a big change anyway from Arizona. But
yeah.
In high school, you were also an athlete. I remember Kiara actually, she was the first person to tell me about grit, which was crazy. And I told her I was not running track. I was like, no. She was like, you should come to grit. I said, no. She's not.
I remember you also met Coach, and he was like trying to talk to you, and he was like poking you, and you were like,
I ignored him.
And then you came, and he was like, oh, this your cousin? I was like, yeah.
Disrespectful. But anyways, Kiara was a track athlete, and so you also, as an athletic trainer, you also have the athletic point and standpoint because you've been in the sport, and then now you can treat athletes for things you've seen and been through before. For those who don't know, what's your role as an athletic trainer?
What do you mean role?
Like, what do you do?
Oh, so I'm an athletic trainer for track and field and cross country at a lovely school in Florida. I pretty much do any injury prevention, rehab, treatment. So I do a lot of like soft tissue work, injury prevention, and things like that for the athletes. Oh, recovery too. The kids don't like that, but
nobody likes recovery.
No.
Did you like recovery?
No, like thinking back, I never really did recovery.
Did you do the Sean
myself?
Beek videos? The Sean Beek videos.
Yeah, no. Which now, like being an athletic trainer, I'm like, dang, like it's actually really important. And I wish I would have known that when I was like in college competing still, because I probably would have been able to last a little bit longer. It's okay though.
It was only because you didn't think it was like important.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about injuries.
Okay.
Because that's like a big thing. I was injured. I hurt my hamstring.
I remember that.
That was crazy. hamstring injuries are the worst to deal with. But let's start a little bit with your background. Let's talk about a time. I don't remember you being injured, but I don't think you were injured in high school.
Not in high school.
You had like ankle problems. But I'm sorry. Yeah,
we don't talk about that.
You did have ankle problems. But you said you got injured in college. Were you like in crutches?
Okay, I wasn't in crutches, but I was in a boot. Why you look like that?
You was crippled.
I actually had a posterior tib strain,
Dang.
which a lot of times it gets like misdiagnosed as like shin splints, but mine was like going on for like a long period of time, and I was just in so much pain, like I couldn't walk, couldn't run, couldn't do anything, and I was in a boot for 20 weeks, which there were some other like insurance things and stuff like that why it like prolonged my return to run, but I didn't do my recovery. And I think if I would have done, I also like I don't want to say like I fell into like a depression, but my mental state was like really low at the time because I couldn't do anything, wasn't going to practice. I was in like some other outside stuff that was affecting like my mental, and I just like kind of fell off, which me now as an athletic trainer, that's one thing that I try to make sure the kids are still involved with practice so that like doesn't happen to them, because it's a really dark place and like nobody knows how to deal with it until you're in it. And if you have someone who can help you not fall into that, I think it's really important.
When you were in like that place, how did you like take yourself out of that? Like, were your coaches involved, or like how did your recovery happen? Did you get back on the track after that?
Yeah, when I came to Grit. That was my first time in like 20 weeks.
Oh, really?
That summer.
And you did race again the following season? Or
yeah, but then COVID hit.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Kiara.
So it was just like back to back, like, but yeah,
That's a lot.
My coaches were, I didn't have the best relationship with my coaches in college. So he would make some comments and it would just like tear me down a little bit, like when I was able to get back onto the track. But my first time actually doing a full workout was during Grit that summer going into like my junior year.
Period.
It was a struggle.
Were you?
Because I gained a lot of weight, so it was because I wasn't able to do anything, and then it was just like a struggle. But by the time the summer came, and then things started rolling, I was like practiced again when I went to school. My coach was like, "Dang, things are coming back." He was like, "Yeah, things are connecting," and then COVID hit, and I was like,
"Dang,
yeah,
that's rough." COVID really changed a lot for
it did, but honestly, it was I know it was not good for a lot of people, but for me, it was probably like one of the better times because it was really allowed me to sit with myself, focus on myself, and like regroup with everything that was going on because I didn't have like the best college experience up until then. And then that's when I was going to my master's program, so like it was just a lot, and it was a good time for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I could sit with myself, got back into my workout routine and things like that, but not everyone had that experience.
No.
I also like being alone, so
yeah, she does. She does not like people.
No. So I had 5
you
roommates.
Had fun isolated.
It was a 5-bedroom house. Everybody left. I was the only one there. I was like, yes, I get this. I was kind of scared though, I'm not gonna lie, but it was fun. I was doing workouts on the stairs. You're not gonna go outside, so it was great.
You were living life in isolation.
I was.
She said, you mean I don't have to see any of you guys?
I never got COVID. Like,
really?
Well, I did after.
Oh,
but
okay.
like during that whole like first no.
During the initial like.
Because nobody was there by myself.
Yeah. They all went home. She's I'm here.
And I came here and started training.
Yeah.
Again.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And then after that, did you have a season after that? Or was that it?
Yes, I had a season, but it was a COVID season, so it wasn't really like a full season. And then I had my 5th year because of COVID and my injury, but I didn't go back because I was in the middle of my master's program. I was doing I had to do 300 hours of like hands-on clinical work. But then I decided to go back. I literally was just like in the training room one day and talked to my trainer, and the throws coach was like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, why don't you come back?" Mind you, this is already spring, like 2 weeks before spring break. And I was like, "Well, nobody asked me." He's like, "Well, we just assumed you were going to come back." And I was like, nobody said anything. So I just didn't think I didn't think it wanted me. So I just went about my merry way.
Aww.
Literally, I was like, nobody asked, like nobody had asked if I was coming back, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna just focus on my school. I got my last year, like, let's rock out. And ironically, my coach, we had a girl who got hurt, and he was like, well, I have no female throwers, and I've been asking to throw since
you have been talking about it.
I've been asking to throw since I was a freshman in college, and they finally let me. And my coach was like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, we didn't do this sooner because you're actually like really good. So I was a thrower for 6 weeks,
but you
I did really well.
6 weeks. I feel like
it was
you're a
honestly
great thrower.
And I think going back, like I was so scared that my mental health was going to go down again. But then I was in throws with a different environment with different people. And people, y'all be neglecting the throwers. Don't neglect them, okay? Because they're an amazing group and they're very supportive. So people don't be watching them. I be trying to watch the kids, you know, but I was a thrower. I try to go out there, watch them during meets and stuff because I feel like throws is always like off in the cut and nobody gets to watch them.
Right.
But like, they're some of the best kids on the team.
Yeah.
Like I remember in college, I won a lot of conference championships with my team, but it always came down to our throwers. Like all of us running was done, and it was the last two throwers who had to throw. And if they did their part, then we won. And if they didn't, then we didn't win a conference championship that year. Like nobody.
They're kind of overlooked.
Yeah, and I'm like, damn, them throwers are good.
It was the backbone of the team. It sounds.
They were, and like my throwers were like amazing. So it was like, for me, it was a really like eye opener. I was like, wow, like you can have fun at practice and not like be stressed out. Like that's what it felt like. It was like actual fun. Yeah,
you were like enjoying the sport again.
Yeah, and I didn't have to run. So.
Yeah, yeah, Kiara, you used to crack me up during our workouts. I'm just saying. I
like look back and I'm like, wow. I would like sit in the back. You'd be like doing drills. I'd be sitting in the back, so it was my turn to go to the front of the line. But I was kind of good.
No, you were good.
I was kind of good back then. I was.
You
good.
Was running.
Yeah,
I remember seeing you.
Oh, it's because I was scared of you.
What?
I would hear her foot in the 200. I'm like, damn, my little cousin, come on, can't get beat. That's literally what I would hear. I'm like, damn, I'm like, how close is she? And I hear, dude. I'm like, damn, I gotta go. Literally. I like, my cousin cannot beat me because you were what, a freshman and I was a senior.
You got me into it.
And I was like, dang, like if she beats me, that's embarrassing. Like I've been doing this since she's new. But I remember, like, we used to come each other. I, like, be panicking. I'm like, damn, I can't not let Johnny beat me. And you were taller than me, so I was like, she got the stride. Like, I got to get out.
Our height difference is big.
I know.
Kiara's like this.
Okay.
You like Polly Pocket.
Don't do that.
She like Polly Pocket size, and I'm, like, way taller than her. But she a beast. She got that explosive.
I know. It's so crazy because the kids, like, will be talking. And then, like, you know, they didn't know that I did track. And they'd be like, wow, Miss Kiara, like, you actually know what you're talking about. I'm like, I didn't do this for 9 years for no reason. Like, I know what I'm talking about.
I'm trained.
And I started running. I made a bet with one of my kids that I would compete for we have the parents run, our last meet. I told him I would compete. And so he came to watch me practice. But he was like, wow, you're actually kind of good. I said, I've been trying to tell y'all.
There was is that video that you sent?
Yes.
No, because you said it never goes away. Because we focus on technique so much.
I remember in college all the time, people would be like, wow, like, Kiara got good form. I'm like, yeah.
I don't think you understand how much it was drilled into
literally.
Me. Yeah. That's so true. No, you step back on the track and it's like muscle memory. Yeah. Which is pretty cool. And you'd be like, I got this technique. I got a little party trick.
I know. The kids be like, I'm like, okay, don't play me. Like, I used to run. Okay, y'all. I did a little bit of everything. Ran, threw, jumped, like, and I distanced though.
You were debating the hep, right?
Okay, no, I had to do it one time.
You did it? Did you like it?
No.
The 800.
I literally cried. It was so embarrassing. I never done hurdles before. Yeah. I got a call from my coach and he was like, hey, I need you to come to the office. I'm like, dang, okay, what? He said, we know we've been talking about this for a while. We're going to have you do the pent. And I was like, or the hep. And I said, for what? He said, we need some extra points. I said, okay. Never did hurdles. I said, okay, so when am I going to learn how to do hurdles? Well, we're going to do hurdles tomorrow. All right, cool. When am I going to learn how to do high jump? Wednesday, but you leave Wednesday night. I said, okay. So you're going to give me 48 hours to figure out all the other 4 events I never done. Great. Yeah. I remember I did the hurdles. The guy was right there because we did the head before everyone got there. So the last event is when everyone else was starting. So I'm on the line. I'm in lane 1, right? Yeah. No blocks for hurdles. Yeah. I'm like, great. It's me, another girl, my teammate. We sitting there. They said, runners on your mark. I go like, nah. Gun goes off. Girl in the blocks goes. Me and my teammate look at each other. She goes, I go. I said, dang. And then I go. And I had to do the 800. And I literally had no tears. I was so frustrated and in so much pain. But when I crossed the finish line, I had no tears to come because had no energy to cry.
Oh my goodness.
And I was upset because I didn't do well. But if I would have done my 4 events, the javelin, long jump, shot put, 100, 200, actually PR'd in 200. If I did all those individually, I would have got more points individually than I did in the whole head.
Oh, really?
And then that's why I didn't come back my last year until the last 6 weeks of season. Because you try to play me.
They try to play you.
The hep? Do I look like a hep? I'm 5'4". The hurdle's the same height as me. Be for real. High I jumped off 2 feet. Like, it was just a hot mess. I got over the bar, but it didn't count. It was 2 feet. It's okay.
But you did it, though.
Yeah, I tell people I'm a utility athlete. I can do everything.
Period. Yeah. I mean, you've done a half.
That's really what I was. Like, it was
that.
anything like the coaches needed. I want you to go throw javelin. All right, I'm over there. We need to go do 400. All right, I'm over there. 100, 200, long jump.
After all of that, was that between the injury and just the sport, did that kind of build your want to do athletic training even more? Like, because you were injured, or were you not even thinking about that?
So when I got injured, it was my sophomore year, which at the end of my freshman year is when I decided to go into athletic training fully. So I started taking classes and stuff for that. But then I spent a lot of time with my athletic trainer, which she's amazing. She was definitely like my person I leaned on in college because I was so far away from home. But it was one of those that I was already decided that I wanted to do it. And, you know, they always say, like, the athletic trainer is like the worst patient. So I'm sorry, Kelsey. I know I was not the easiest.
But you have experience on the other end.
But I do. I have experience, and like, I liked it though because I got to spend a lot of time with her, and I got to see a lot of like hands-on things and see how she works with the athletes. And she worked multiple sports. I think she did like soccer, like girls soccer, and like cheer as like our club sport. And just seeing her like interact with the athletes and like being at practice and like building the relationships that she built with the athletes was something that I feel like that's how I kind of am. And she's one of those people that like I appreciate for that. And then some other people that I met throughout college.
Cool. That's awesome. I know, and you were pretty close with like the athletic trainer in high school as well, right?
I was Miss Woods. She was amazing.
Miss Woods, yeah.
I saw her when I was in my boot actually when I came home.
Yeah.
She was like, "What is that?" I was like, "Well, I got injured." You know, I was in Walmart with a little wheelchair. It was my best life.
I see her sometimes, but I remember you were always talking about her, and because you worked close with her.
I did.
I had some of her classes, but
that's where all started for me was in her class.
Yeah, she was a good teacher. I'd say. She blunt.
She was very blunt, but I liked her class, which that's why I kind of like leaned towards athletic training was because I'm not the best reader, so a lot of hands-on stuff is like how I learned the best, and that's what we did. It was a lot of hands-on, physical, like examinations and taping and things like that, and watching videos, and I think that's why like I was drawn to it because it's a lot of hands-on stuff, and that's just easier for my brain to work.
When you first became an athletic trainer, was it for all sports or was it for one sport? How did it work?
I think it all started my second to last clinical rotation. I worked with the Chicago Red Stars women's NWSL team in Chicago. And I think that's what really kicked it off for me. And I didn't really play soccer. I played like 7th and 8th grade year when everyone plays. And I really like dove in. I had a unique experience that a lot of people didn't get because my lovely preceptor, she got an opportunity to go to the Olympics that year. So she went with the U.S. women's team to the Olympics, and me and my counterpart, she kind of like left us and was like, "Hey, this is your training room. Figure it out." And I think that was like the best learning experience for me was like all hands on. So when I left, I did a lot of soccer experience. And so when I went to the location I'm at now, my wonderful school I work at now, I originally started with soccer. So where I work, there's 24 of us. So we all work our own sports. We don't work multiple sports. We do help out each other if someone needs help with like game coverage and things like that. But we're all like on our own. So I started out with soccer as an assistant. Well, let me go backwards. I started out as a summer staff. So during summer, we work all sports. Every week we rotate to basketball, football, tennis, soccer. Like we just we go everywhere. So you get a little bit of everything and you're not just stuck with the sport you normally work with throughout the year. So I started out with that, and then I got hired on full time as an assistant, and I worked girls soccer, which that was just what I did. I did that for about a year and some months when I was in college, and that's just what I knew. And then the track position came, and I was very hesitant. Honestly, didn't even know if I was going to stay, and I think that's why I was so hesitant. Because I got there for summer in May, got hired on in August as assistant, and then in October I got offered the position for full-time staff for track and field. That's awesome. And I was like, this is all going very fast, and I don't know if I'm ready. But are you ever really ready? No.
That's
And I
the right
remember
person.
my boss's boss pulled me to her office, and she was like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we wouldn't have offered you this position if we didn't think you were ready. Like, you need to figure it out because we want you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a track position, and I did a lot of self-digging. You know, I went to the beach, wrote down my pros and cons lists. Yep, I sat there while the sun set. Or no, it was actually before work. And I sat, and I was sitting there, and I was like, okay. I was like, hey, ma'am, can we have a meeting? I said, X, Y, Z, that's why I want to do it. And she goes, oh, yeah, I already knew that. I just wanted you to know that you wanted to do it. And I was like, oh, okay.
So
And I got the job.
I need to self-reflect first. Period.
And she was like, you know, you have a background in track and field. Like, you know the technique, you know what it takes. Like, you're the best fit for this. And I just didn't think I was ready because I was so fresh and so new to, like, be on my own. I was like, are you sure? Like, you sure you want me to do it? And, you know, it's taken me, I've been there for 2.5 years now. And it's taken me a while to, like, figure out how I want to run my team.
Mm-hmm.
But now, well, this ship is gone. We smooth sailing.
You've gotten into the rhythm as an athletic trainer, and you know how to deal with the kids now. Was that something that was harder for you at the beginning, or did that kind of like was it easy, smooth process? I feel like it's never a smooth process, but it could be for you. I don't know.
For me, so I kind of like pushed myself in because I knew like there was conversations about me doing it. So like if the track athletes came in, I would help them a little bit, kind of get my foot in there so like they could like know who I was. Because there was a transition period when I initially said no. There was a month. So they had like random people helping them. And so I was like, all right, let me just help out a little bit more and like get to know some of these kids. And I remember one of my athletes, who's a pole vaulter, and she's now at an amazing school in New York. She was like, oh yeah, I want Miss Kiara. I like her. And then I got the job. And she was like, oh my God, I knew it. I was like, yeah, I just didn't want to tell anyone because I didn't know if I was actually going to take it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I feel like I connect really well with the kids. But I always find, like, I hear everything.
Mm-hmm.
I got big old ears. Well, they're actually small. But I can hear, like, I hear everything and I can, like, pick up on conversations. And that's how I, like, learn to connect with kids. You have to, and it's hard because track and field is, like, one of those individual sports. Like, everyone's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, no one is the same. So trying to find those things to connect with the kids, I feel like I do that easy.
Mm-hmm.
But also being a track athlete and knowing what they went through and they are going through, I think that was an easy connection for me for a lot of the kids. But what can I say? It's me.
So you naturally people person.
Yeah, I don't like people, but people like me.
Yeah, they do. So you're a people person, not in your way.
Yeah.
You don't.
But no, I love all my kids. And
Yeah.
I feel like I build relationships quickly with them. And I think a lot of kids see like how I react to some of my kids. They're like, oh. Because I have a unique situation where my kids are at a boarding school. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, like, they don't have their parents. They don't have their siblings. Like, I'm outside of their coaches. I'm that one person they see every single day.
They like lean on you.
And I have to be that person for them. So I have to like let myself go to be that person that they see every day. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of kids that just come in and just be like, I had this one kid, love him to death. We were on the road and he was just chilling in my room. I was like, oh, you want treatment? He's like, no, you can let someone else go. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, no, just wait. Like, I'm just chilling. I'll just be last. I'm like, okay, fine. I was like, why'd you wait? And he was like, because when I'm with you, I feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this feels like a safe space for me. And I was like,
wow,
dang.
That's good.
And I was like, that's why I do my job I do. Because my trainers, my coaches were the people that I leaned on in a hard time. And I want to be that for them. Mm-hmm. So it's like just one of those things.
Are you gonna cry?
I just love my kids so much.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no,
that's
like,
so sweet.
And it's just like those things. Like, I had a kid who would just sleep in the training room. I'm like, they'd be like, why? Like, he needs to get up. And I'm like, but he feels safe here. Like, I'm not gonna kick him out. Mm-hmm. Like, he ain't bothering nobody. He's sitting in the corner sleeping. Let him sleep.
Yeah, and I feel like for a kid that like you said, a kid away from their family, away from their friends, and away from everybody, and just here trained, like, it's important that they have somewhere they feel safe.
Yeah, and that transition is hard. It's like they're going to college at the age. I have a girl who started. She was 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
I mean, granted, her parents lived there and she lived off campus with them, but like, that's a transition hard for anyone. I didn't have to do that transition until I was 18 years old.
Right.
These kids are doing it at 12, 13, 14, 15. Like, it's not easy. It wasn't easy when I was damn near an adult going to college. I'm sure it's not easy for them. Like,
yeah,
it's hard.
It's a big
a lot of kids don't take it well, and a lot of kids have the talent, but it's mentally it's hard.
Yeah, and those years are super important in life. Like, the 12 to like the high school years.
Yeah,
I mean, those are some years that like literally shape your next part a big part of your life.
Which I think it's hard, especially for my middle schoolers, if their parents aren't there. A lot of them aren't successful. Or if they're there and they don't have a sibling. Like, I have a girl who's been there. I met her when she was 7th grade. She's in 8th grade now, but her sister's there with her. So it's easier for her.
Right.
But, like, some kids don't have that and they're just there by themselves, which is hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's not an easy thing.
I can't imagine.
Especially, like, I have a lot of I have kids from Japan, Switzerland, like, Canada. Like, it's a long way away. A lot of my kids can't go home for Christmas because it's too expensive. But, like...
That's a long way from home.
It is. And, I mean, granted, they're successful, so it's works out for them. But a lot of kids, it doesn't.
Yeah. And they're going to that school because of the, like, chance of success is, like, higher because you're going with a whole bunch of people who are
it's all, like,
high level
people. Yeah.
Yeah. So... you're going there for a reason, you know?
Yeah, and I try to remind the kids, like, you're here for a reason. Like, I know it's tough, but, like, use this place to your advantage. Get it while you can, because you're not going to have a lot of these things that we have to offer at other places.
Right.
But if you get the tools now, you can be more successful when you leave.
And now with your experience there and your experience with your own track journey, what have you experienced with, like, the injuries that pop up in track season? And what's, like, the most prominent one, you'd say?
So it's actually different every year. So
really?
My first year, which was a struggle for me because, again, I was on my own for my first time. Like, granted, I had a lot of people to lean on, but it's just different. I had a lot of hamstring injuries.
Those are rough.
That was my first thing. And I think a lot of times, like, we focus on high knees and, like, we never really look at, like, the posterior chain while we're running. And there's a lot of other things, like weightlifting issues and stuff like that. But hamstrings, this year I have a lot of shin splints, which I didn't have a whole lot of them before. I think my first semester, I had a lot of stress fractures. But I had a lot of young kids that never ran before. Second year, I had hamstrings. And it was just inconsistency in the weight room. So the kids are getting faster, but don't have the muscle to sustain how fast they're going and how long they're going. And then this year I have a lot of shin splints, but I have a younger group of kids who are fast, but, like, mechanically they're just not there. So it'll come in time, but, like, their bodies aren't mature enough to sometimes hold, like, the velocity and things like that we do.
And so it just happened.
And it's a track, like, it happens.
Yeah, you're gonna get injured.
But the hamstrings is it's a hard one because I feel like the hamstrings is always kind of, like, neglected when you're running because you never think about it. You always think about high knees, hip flexor, and that hamstring plays just as much a role into running as everything else, but we always look at get your knees up, get your knees up, get your knees up, dorsiflex. So it's just one of those that, like, it just kind of gets neglected. And if you don't have the strength to withstand that, back, hips, hamstring, like, it just all just goes downhill, especially in young kids. They don't think about that.
Yeah. Or think about, like, even the recovery, like, for it. So it's like, I mean, because I know I also wasn't thinking about recovery when I was in high school.
The hamstrings it's a hard, long recovery, especially if you have, like, a higher grade strain or even like grade 1, like, I can get kids back in, like, 4 to 5 weeks. But, like, I had a kid who was out for 2 years and he's one of my fastest kids.
Oh, that sucks.
And he just now, like, is starting to get back in the groove, and I'm like, man, it's senior year, like, you need to get it together. Like, you
gotta work back there now.
Yeah. But, like, it's also hard because a lot of kids that are young don't understand the difference between being hurt, being injured, sore, and what general pain is. Like, and I'm like, you're a track athlete. Like, your body is going to hurt. Like, you're not going to have a day where you're 100% because it's track and field. It's physically exhausting. Like, it's not an easy thing. But just because you have a little twinge doesn't mean we have to sit out completely. Like, we're not going to sit out for a week, okay?
You said, you're good.
Like, you're fine. Go out there. And the kids be like, oh, yeah, Miss Kiara, practice was great today. Okay. You was over here crying for what?
You wasn't injured. You'll know if you're injured.
Yeah. Like, you'll know. And, like, with the hamstrings, it's hard because the kids will be out for, like, sometimes, like, 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how bad it is. But that process to get them back, like, I'm more conservative when it comes to my hamstrings because it's a big muscle and it's a big contributor to, especially my faster kids. Especially, like, they'll be fine. But once you start getting that speed back, they're like, man, Kiara, like, it doesn't feel like it's pulled, but something's wrong. I'm like, well, yeah, that's going to happen. Like, you had a strain. Your muscles was like this. Now they kind of like this. They're not fully there, but they get in there. Like, it's not going to be an easy process, especially for hamstrings, especially my kids that are growing. I have a lot of kids who have, like, hip issues and where their hips are sitting, pulling on their hamstrings. But it's like a thing from birth. The way your hip sits sometimes pulls on your hamstring, and it takes a little bit longer to heal. But we don't know that until
they heard it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So hamstrings, I hate hamstrings. I would have, like, stress fractures because that's easier. which is ironic, but there's like not a whole lot you can do the first half, but then it's the process to get them back is a little bit easier than the hamstring, I feel like.
Yeah.
But that's just like something to track and field.
Yeah. No, I've injured my hamstring before. It was not fun recovering it back.
And
I think I was out for like 7 or 8 months.
Yeah.
Before I could like fully sprint again.
Yeah.
And even when I was like sitting, it would like I couldn't sit on it because it was so tender and it like burned, and I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And coaches talked about it multiple times. He said in football, like when the hamstring goes out, it's just so like it's a delicate muscle.
It is.
And
and there's so many things connected to it.
The
that,
mental behind it, getting back on the track.
With my one kid who was he wasn't out for 2 years, he did run, but it was very conservative because he had some other things for his like country and stuff that he had to run for, which obviously is a little bit more important than what we were doing. And that was my biggest thing with him was his mental, because he would just be so down on himself, and I'm like, no, like, let's not do that. Like, there's other things we can do, like, let's make sure we're doing rehab, physical therapy. There's other things we can do, and he's one of my better kids, like, if not my best kid on the team. So I'm like, I need you to like buckle down, and like I need you to get it together. And he was one of those, like, I definitely did like tough love with him. Because like I knew I could. Like some kids I can't do that, a little softer. But he's one of those. And I remember I'd be sitting there working on him, and he's looking up hamstring stuff on YouTube, TikTok. And we were working, and when he got back, he's like, all right, I lost this part of my race. No, let's figure out how to get back. All right, bet. Watching videos, how to do better block starts, how to do things like that. Which once he got out of that little funk and he like actually was able to run and compete, it worked out a little bit better. But his mental, and I remember like some days like he'd be really down on himself. He'd come to treatment, not go to practice, go straight to his room. Other days he'd be very active at practice, and I'm like,
he in that like teeter-totter.
Yeah, and it's hard, especially when you're injured, because then like people are questioning, are you really hurt? Does it really hurt that bad? Why aren't you running? When we had big meets, stadiums, like, where's so and so at? And I'm like, and then when he got back, he got another one at a different spot of his hamstring.
Would you say it's just because of his, like, what he was like, how he's running, or how did that happen?
So he's a very, like, upright runner, and his strides are very long, which he's a tall kid, so it makes sense, but he had lower hamstring, and it came back, was killing it, upper hamstring. So it was just, like, one of those things, and I was like, did we move him too fast? Like, was there other things? But, I mean, now he's great, and he just ran a 6.99, so.
Period. That's good that he got back. That's awesome.
And I was so happy. I was like,
he said, I mean, it's probably so nice from your, like, it's probably so, what's it called?
Rewarding
from your perspective. Because you know you had, like, a big play in his comeback because you helped him with his, like, recovery of it and what are you, like, doing and injury preventing and whatever.
Yeah. Which I think that, like, that's also another reason why I do my job is I see the kids at their lowest. I see them before they get hurt, when they get hurt, during and after. A lot of people don't get to see that process, and I get to. And that's the time, especially when I first started, when I had injured kids, like I would use that time to really get to know them, get to know where they're from, who they are, what their goals are. Because if I don't know their goals, I can't get you back.
Yeah.
And some kids, they're like, hey, Miss Kiara, like, I'm not going to run in college. Like, I just want to get through this year. I'm like, all right, bet we could do that. I'm not going to push you too hard, but like, we'll get you on the track. Yeah. And the other kid's like, no, I want to go be a professional athlete. All right, well, we're going to have to work a little bit harder.
We're going to wrap this thing up. Thank you once again to Kiara for joining us, my cousin. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, follow us. I don't know what you're watching on. Subscribe. You can listen to the rest of our podcast on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. So yeah, hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
Till next time.